Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 270. I'm your podcast host, Bill Man, the sports guy, always ready for the latest news of the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, WNBA, college sports. This is the podcast to be. So, we do have some signings to talk about. We got a trade to talk about. And then we need to really ask the baseball question if we'll even have baseball in 2027. Okay, first and foremost, we do have one other hockey news to talk about, and that is that earlier this week, Steve Yzerman, who was the general manager of the Detroit Red Wings, is no longer the general manager. And in fact, he's going to move to senior advisor, governor, and CEO to the owner of the Red Wings, Chris Licht. It's fair to say that Steve Yzerman's tenure as Detroit Red Wings general manager was very underwhelming. Obviously, the Red Wings currently have the longest playoff drought in the NHL. They haven't made it in 10 years. And I believe part of it, because Steve Yzerman was there for about 7 years, most of it. But the one thing that truly, I think, was the last nail in the coffin was the whole Dylan Larkin request trade saga, which there's 4 teams now in Dallas, Minnesota, Vegas, and the Florida Panthers. So after that, I think that's what really caused a bit of a pause between Yzerman and the Red Wings ownership, which basically made him step down as general manager. And Steve Yzerman, this is how I look at it. Drafting didn't really do too great. Free agency signings, some of it was okay. Some of it was also a bit of a head scratcher. But basically, Steve Yzerman has not touched playoffs hockey since 2019, when he was last the general manager of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and before the Lightning did go back-to-back in 2020 and 2021 in winning the Stanley Cup. So, this was big, shocking news. Am I surprised? No, because I always thought Yzerman was going to be in the hot seat. And to be fair, the Red Wings the last 3 seasons, they would start off hot, but then the wheels would fall off the bus like around March in the last 3 seasons. So, am I shocked? No. But I hope the Red Wings, when it comes to finding a new general manager, that they actually look somewhere outside the box. I think that would be a nice change. All right. Let's get to some of the signings. So, the Barrett Hayton contract that New Jersey filed an offer sheet. Utah did match it. And now, I can also confirm, sorry about the music, that was not supposed to happen. But anyway, Utah did match it. So the 1 year, $4.775 million cap hit. So, good player that will obviously help out Utah, but now Utah can't really trade him until next offseason. So that's the one weird rule when it comes to matching offer sheets. And now, Leo Carlsson, the Ducks were actually able to match his offer sheet. So it's good that Leo Carlsson is going to stick around Anaheim. I think Anaheim has the potential to go deep, potentially second round. But the other thing now is, the one thing the Ducks really need to clean up is the defense. Some potential trade candidates they could do. They could trade Chris Kreider. They could trade Frank Vatrano. But let me know your thoughts and your opinions on that. And now, we do have another signing to discuss. Actually, 2 that involve the Philadelphia Flyers. So the first one is Jamie Drysdale does sign a 4-year deal with the Philadelphia Flyers, a contract extension worth a $6.5 million AAV. Jamie Drysdale, good defenseman, good puck movement, thought he did really well this season in Philadelphia, so I'm fine with the contract. And they did also re-sign Trevor Zegras too. So honestly, the cap hit for Zegras, I believe, was around the $4 million, if I'm not mistaken. I can't really find the post, but anyway, good signing. I don't got too much to complain about, but other than I think the signing is perfectly fine. I just think Zegras was a good player in Philadelphia. We do have one other major signing to talk about, Anthony Mantha signs a 2-year deal with the New Jersey Devils worth a $4.75 million AAV. And this is actually a steal. Anthony Mantha did really well with the Pittsburgh Penguins this season. And I think he's going to work out really well in the top 9 of the New Jersey Devils. He's obviously not going to play first line right wing, but I think he's going to do really well. And I think he's going to fit in well in the Devils system. Now, the big key, and basically with everybody in the New Jersey Devils, is they need to stay healthy. All right. We do have another signing to talk about in Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard is staying with the Chicago Blackhawks on a 5-year deal, $75 million, which is $15 million worth AAV. And Connor Bedard is one of the best players in the NHL, top 15 best player in the NHL, top 10. And this season, took another step forward. 30 goals, 45 assists for 75 points in 69 games now. He has 203 points in 219 games played so far in his young, terrific NHL career. And Bedard is Chicago's future player that they're going to build around. Connor Bedard, we're in the Connor Bedard era of Blackhawks hockey, folks. And seeing him for another 5 years. Now, one thing the Blackhawks really need to do is get Bedard help on the offense. Yes, I get it. Kyle Davidson added Bowen Byram on the defense, but we need more offensive players. Hear me out, folks. I hope this happens. Honestly, as a Hawks fan, Patrick Kane reunion? Maybe? There are reports that Chicago is one of 2 teams. The other team is the Buffalo Sabres. So, overall, I like the contract. I think $15 million absolutely fits, and he is now going to be the 3rd highest paid player coming into next season. And to be honest, while he is going to be hurt, and the first month is going to be a bit of pain to watch Blackhawks hockey, but when Bedard is back and fully healthy, I can't wait to see how the Hawks do next season. So, let's go to the other. We actually have 2 baseball signings to talk about now. The Cincinnati Reds have extended Chase Burns on a 7-year, $105 million AAV contract. Not AAV, but the total for a contract extension. And it bought out 2 years of free agency and all of his arbitration eligible years. Now, he actually was the number 2 pick in the 2024 Major League Baseball draft. And he's been their ace this season, and now we are in the second half, but so far he's went 11-1 with a 2.54 ERA and 118 Ks and a 1.11 whip over 18 starts. Now let's be honest, the Cincinnati Reds stink this season, but I think locking in Chase Burns does make sense. I hope Chase Burns does play a part in their future core in the pitching category. Obviously, hitting-wise, they need to build around Elly De La Cruz. So, in the end, good contract for the Cincinnati Reds. I actually like it a lot. And, I mean, Chase Burns is going to do pretty well with the Reds for a while. Another pitching contract extension. Kyle Bradish signs a 5-year, $90 million deal contract with the Baltimore Orioles. Now, he did finish 4th in the Cy Young Award, and he hasn't really missed a beat. Now, Kyle Bradish, he did miss more than a year due to Tommy John surgery, but specifically, this season has a 3.61 ERA with a 107.1 whip. But this season, he includes a 2.12 ERA over his last 5 starts. So now he has had a bit of a control problem. But in one way, I think Bradish, I hope he can figure it out because he has shown that he has true potential. And I think the Orioles might be in good hands if he could actually figure it out. And this could easily look like a steal of a contract. Now, the trade we need to discuss. The Milwaukee Brewers have acquired Lance McCullers Jr., along with left-handed pitcher Colton Gordon in cash considerations for prospect infielder Jaden Fiddler. So, Fiddler, bit of a prospect, and a second baseman prospect, and I think the fact that the Astros are having a bad year, I think they'll give him a shot, and I think he'll actually do really well. Now, from the Brewers' point of view, the thing they've done like the Dodgers with pitchers, is the second they acquire pitcher, they'll turn them into all-stars. Like, look at Corbin Burns. Look at Brandon Woodruff, too, for example. And now I think they're going to turn Lance McCullers Jr. to an all-star because prior to getting traded, McCullers Jr. had an ERA at like almost 8 with the Houston Astros and only 4 starts this season. So I think this is just the Brewers taking a gamble on a good potential pitcher in Lance McCullers Jr. because when healthy with the Houston Astros, he had some good stuff, but this season was really rough. So in the end, good trade for the Brewers. Now, we do need to talk about Major League Baseball. I can't believe I'm asking this, but are we actually going to have baseball in 2027? Because I, for one, really sure hope so. Now, there's a lot to consider when it comes to the Major League Baseball players and the players' organization or the player PA. And basically, it's hasn't been looking too great. So part of the things is for their next collective bargaining agreement, which is supposed to happen around December 1st, 2026. So some of the core issues. The owners have pitched a strict salary cap and floor system and a 50-50 revenue split. Meanwhile, the Players Association proposed a competitive integrity tax, I hope I said it right, to penalize teams that don't spend at least $150 million while heavily rejecting any hard salary cap. Now, it's players and the fans, according to a poll conducted by The Athletic, majority of both players and fans expect a lockout. As a baseball fan, that would suck. Let's be honest. Because, as of right now, the earliest the season is going to start, as of right now, is March 24, 2027. The All-Star Game is actually scheduled to be at Wrigley Field in 2027, July 13th. But, as much as I think it's cool and about time that Wrigley Field gets to host the All-Star Game, but is it really going to happen next year? That's the thing. Now, the postseason is supposed to schedule September 28th with the World Series running from October 22nd to potential October 30th, so right around Halloween. Now, the other part is when it comes to the draft. The owners, what they want is to eliminate high school and junior college draft eligibility. And by requiring players to be 20 years old by September 1st of the draft year and at least 2 years removed from high school. Now, they want to shorten draft shorting and bonuses, so cutting the domestic draft from 20 rounds to 12, hard slotted rounds, and capping the amateur bonus pool to at least $200 million, down from the prior amounts around $400 million. Now, the internal draft would include 12 rounds with an additional $200 million signing bonus. And now it will increase from the active roster from 26 to 28. For the first 15 days of the regular season, it's a little interesting. Now, the demotion protections, providing salary and service time, protections for pitchers who are optioned to the minors immediately after achieving certain performance thresholds. Now, the accelerated Rule 5. Accelerating eligibility for the Rule Draft 5 to ensure players get earlier opportunities to reach the majors. Now, the injured list changes is allowing teams to place players on the 60-day injured list earlier during the November tender deadline. Now, so let's be honest. The owners and the Players Association are, the best way I can describe it, they're basically in an ugly relationship. They won't even talk to each other. And I sure hope the 2027 season doesn't get canceled. I think we can all agree that would stink. I have a fear of a possibility that some of the games will get canceled. Not all 162 games, but canceled. I kind of hope this isn't 2020 over again where we only got 60 games and then into the postseason. Now, as a baseball fan, one thing that would also hurt is teams that are actually doing pretty well this season. Look at the Chicago White Sox. Look at the Miami Marlins. Look at the St. Louis Cardinals. Those three, for pure example, they're doing really well this season, including the Tampa Bay Rays. And sure, the Dodgers are good. They know how to spend money. They know how to develop a beast mode team, but the problem is, I just think some of the owners are being way too greedy. Look at Bob Nutting of the Pittsburgh Pirates, for example. The Pirates are playing .500 baseball as we speak. So, chime in below, on the comment section below, especially on Twitter at Billman Sports, Instagram at Billman Sports Guy, and here on YouTube at Billman Sports Guy, because are we going to have a 2027 Major League Baseball season? I sure hope so. But as of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it would really suck. So that's it for today's episode of 270 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Always remember, for the latest weekly news of the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports, WNBA, this is the podcast to be. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Stay tuned for episode number 271 as we march on to episode number 300. We're on the march. Peace.